All right, in this one, we're getting naked. Oh yeah, our maps are going to be naked maps. I don't know why I call them naked maps, but I thought it was a cool name. They're basically maps that have no base map. And why the heck would you care about this? What's the point of a naked map? Well, sometimes this is actually super useful. Sometimes, you get data and you don't want to be putting it on a world map. So what's an example of this? Well, I once had a client where we were mapping golf courses, and he got all the golf course information as GeoJSONs. So we had the perimeter of the golf course, we had the fairway, we had the sand traps, we had the green, we had each of the tee boxes, we had every single thing that you needed to make the map of the golf course as like shape information. So, and he didn't want to show the satellite because we even had the trees. He didn't want to show the satellites because sometimes they're grainy and the trees are, like they're kind of bushy because you're seeing them from above rather than how wide they actually are at the base or whatever. It just wasn't, it didn't make sense to show things from a satellite point of view. So he wanted it kind of like almost like a drawing, like a custom drawing for every golf course using just the GeoJSONs. So in order to do this, I had to have a map that had no background, right? So that's what I call the naked map. So it's useful for things like that, maybe floor plans or even data that's not geographic data that, you have some kind of other information. What's an example? Like I've done stuff that is geographic, but it's in like a fantasy universe, right? If I'm mapping like Lord of the Rings stuff, I want to use all the features of a mapping system, but I don't want to have like it be on Earth. So I kind of mess with the coordinates and make it kind of like fudge it so it's like a pseudo Earth map, but no one knows because there's no actual Earth on it, right? And in the end, we can put like a custom background, like a custom image on behind it that is like the Lord of the Rings map base or something like that. So that's all kind of fun stuff you could do with this idea of the naked map. So how do we actually make this? Well, in Leaflet, it's super simple. All we do is we don't add the tile layer. So in every other type of map that we've done with Leaflet, there's always been this tile layer thing, this thing where we give it some tiles and we load them in. Well, with the naked maps, we just don't do that. Everything else is the same. So super simple. Leaflet is super basic with this. We also want to make sure there's a background. Otherwise, it'll just, I don't know what color it would come out to by default, but it's nice to have it be whatever background you want, if you want it to be black or white or whatever. Great. In MapLibra, it's a little bit more complicated. We have to actually add an empty source. So this is a little bit wackier, but there's just how we've created these styles that we add with all this complex like JSON information, object with all this stuff in it. Well, basically I found years ago this example of like an empty one, and I just copy this. So I've put the link here in this example. If you look on GitHub and check this out, which you should have this all bookmarked for future reference, you can get to this empty V8 and you just drop that in as the style, and then you'll just have an empty map. And you can see here, it's basically just a background with the background color set to completely transparent. That's what this means, completely transparent. And then I've loaded on a GeoJSON as a polygon just to show that we can have that on there. And as we zoom in and out, it's appearing there because the world is duplicated horizontally on these maps. So we're actually zoomed out to like the whole Earth. We're as zoomed out as you can get, but you can zoom back in and all that sort of thing. So with this, you could have multiple GeoJSONs and draw things and dots and everything like that without anyone having to deal with the actual world map. So that's a little bit about adding naked maps. Maybe one day you'll find a use for them. I do find it's helpful to know how to do this once in a while for the odd application. So I wanted to go over it here and get naked with you all. See you in the next one.